Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Telos Buzz. It is that time of week. It's an important day today. It is Remembrance Day here in Canada and elsewhere across the world, and it's also the day that we've had like a really wild week in crypto. So yeah, we're here to share it with everyone and you guys from Telos Culture. Evan, how are you doing? What's up?
Oh, I'm doing well. Having a good Remembrance Day so far. Memorable. We got lots of exciting news for you guys today. It's an exciting one. Is it Daylight Savings Day today too here in Canada?
Daylight savings was like a week ago.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I missed it. Cool.
Your phone remembered though, I'm sure.
My phone remembered. Yeah, I've been like kind of sick, like recovering all week, so I haven't been out of the house. It hasn't affected me whatsoever.
Speaking of, I gotta change my clock back an hour because I kind of forgot about that.
Oh, nice.
Where are we at? 12:04.
Live clock rewinding.
There we go. The sands of time, y'all.
Yeah, let us know where you're coming from and if you have daylight savings there and if it's kicked in yet, because it happens different times in different places.
We got people clamoring for Gooey already. We'll get them up here in just a minute because we're really excited, both of us here, whether we like daylight savings time or not. We're really excited to hear about Gooey's Legend of the Realms project, his next NFT project. It's the first time he's really talking about it, so we're excited to hear all about it. Before we get started, we're going to go through a little bit. Won't keep you too long. We're just going to talk about some things in crypto ecosystem that you guys need to know about, that you probably already do know about, but we'll tell you anyways. We got Feisty here as well. Nice to see you, Feisty. Always good to see you. So let's kick it off with some news on Telos. That's how we got our start, was going through all these Telos and ecosystem news. Now we're more interviews. So let's go back to our roots and talk about this is something that's been rocking crypto for the last week. Sam Bankman-Fried has filed for bankruptcy, I believe. I saw something about this.
He personally filed?
I don't know if it's him personally or if one of his companies. Something is going through Charter 11 or something or other. The amount that I know about the financial stuff is underwhelming. I'm not a big financial guy.
Yeah, I don't know much, but I feel like it's unlikely that he would file for bankruptcy. He was like a billionaire like a day ago.
You know what? Maybe it was his company then. Thank you for fact checking me.
Yeah.
But this has been a huge saga that has been spreading its tendrils into nearly every area of the crypto ecosystem. I say nearly because there's a lot of projects out there like Telos who don't have like VC investors who are kind of in a better position for some of this, I would say, because they don't have big people like SBF or other related entities invested in Telos. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about the news because there's too much to cover, but I'll say in short, not your keys, not your crypto. Remember that. And also stay safe out there, y'all. If you've been affected by this, talk to someone. Don't lose hope. Don't do anything drastic because you can and will bounce back. I fully believe that. And reach out if you need someone to talk to. I'm always here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Telos Culture is all about, right? We're all part of this community. We're all in it together. So yeah, we got lots of friends here, lots of friends in the chat. You can always talk to us or any one of us. I'm sure we're all happy to help. I was just noticed my t-shirt. Did we do the draw yet? Today is officially the draw for
what? You talk in this news, I'll do it in the background.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're drawing live right now. The draw for the Telos t-shirts. We had some leftover merch from Futurist Conference, and what better way to find people who want a Telos shirt than in the Telos ecosystem itself? So we're giving some awesome Telos tees away to some of our friends and followers. We'll find out shortly who those winners are, and we'll DM them. So,
oh, you know what? The event might not end for another hour or so.
Oh my gosh! So you guys still have a chance to win a tee if you haven't entered yet. Go for it. It's really good odds.
Go and see if you can get yourself a t-shirt here. Go and try it out. Click on the link on the chat. That's not going to do much up there, but give it a try. Oh, actually, we're waiting for a result. Okay, so never mind. I'm going to go try to draw these.
All right. fake news. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so we've also got some other fun NFT news coming from the Telos ecosystem. So Telos Pirates minted this week, selling out on the same day. So that's always good news. We love to see NFT projects selling out on exchanges, not to corporations. But yeah, so Telos Pirates, check those out. Keep your eyes out for the next mint. Fortis announces a free NFT mint. Speaking of, y'all should check it out. You just need to pay the gas fees, which we all know are incredibly low on Telos. So definitely worth your while. That's Fortis. And Apex's NFT platform is coming soon. Stay tuned for more information there.
Yeah, I saw a great video of, it was Apex, Uma from Apex. She had a metaverse character going around with legs. She had legs. So take that, Zuckerberg. Woo. But yeah, it's coming. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, without further ado, I mean that's our NFT news. But our real headliner is some great NFT news. We're gonna bring on the big Gooey in just a minute, and
here he is.
Here he is.
Hey, what's good, guys?
Everything's good now that you're here, Gooey.
Exactly.
Hey, I really appreciate that Zuckerberg roast with the legs. You had me howling over here.
Oh well,
Did I miss something?
That was clever. That's a deep cut, but I like that.
I won't do the best way to ruin a joke is to explain it, but Evan, go look up Zuckerberg legs.
Oh, I know the reference. I just literally missed a beat. I don't know what happened.
Oh, Uma had legs in her Apex.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, welcome, Gooey. It's great to have you here as always. You're the first guest ever to come on the Buzz, and now you're here bringing your exciting news about Legends of the Realms. So, man, tell us all about it. Like, what's the project about? Why are you passionate about it? Let's hear all about it.
Yeah, it's fun to like actually start talking about it because it's creeping up on me faster than I'd hoped. Because I'm hoping to have it for New Year's, kind of to kick the year off, and it's been this exploration of I feel like I've kind of foregone my own ambitions for a little bit to get the ecosystem going, and it's in turn really taught me a lot of lessons about that feed back into projects, I think. So like rather than just running a project in the traditional sense, I'm having to think ahead and think about a lot of other factors, which in turn is kind of fed into how I've wanted to conceptualize my own project. So Legend of the Realms is going to be this funky DAO that is going to be centered around the builders on Telos. So the idea is that if you've launched a project over here, you're automatically going to get a token, and it's going to be this kind of I'm such a huge D&D nerd, like from just my core and in my childhood, and I think that just like storytelling is at the root of everything for me. And I think whether it's storytelling with data or storytelling with the community, I think that to start solving some of the problems that I think are important on Telos NFTs, infrastructure-wise or community-wise, is doing them as a DAO and together and input from other builders, but then having the story that's happening within the DAO reflect that as a metaphor, I guess is the best way to put it without it being too convoluted. But so it's almost like it's an imaginative play with a bunch of people to make it more fun than just like we're writing some code and slapping some art on it, I guess is the best way to put it.
100%. It's like even D&D itself is this fun mix of like you've got rules, but you're improving and you're playing a character. Mm-hmm. You're creating this world together. That whole world building aspect really carries over to what I've seen in some of the best NFT communities. It's not just one person imposing like this world on others. You're actively working to build it together, to build the little nuances, the fun things that make worlds tick.
Exactly.
I love role playing, so I'm going off.
And I think it's just like it's also allowed me to experiment with, because I'm starting to also leverage AI to do art for me as well, and like it's been a minute since I've touched it, but I'm glad I've let it sit on that aspect, because I think it's just like a cool angle to inject in all of this as well, in that it's like, to create art that can keep up with the story, you got to make it really quickly. And it's either like, whether I even want to straight up just use the images because AI is just that good these days, or use it as a prompt, as like, you know, I think about it a lot like I'm just DMing a DAO, right? And if anybody's played Dungeons and Dragons or been a dungeon master, man, that's weird to say out loud. It's that you're always thinking and anticipating how to tell this story compellingly with words, but it's like with AI, we might be able to like render these situations or whatever in somewhat real time, and that's really appealing to me. And as far as like telling a story about an ecosystem as well, and it being like, I want it to be like the hip and happen in place, at least within a DAO on Telos, to like, obviously our Discord's like been really popping in that, and it's just like that energy can carry over into you know, something I can really stake my name to and be an open-ended project, right? Like there's no promise other than we're all here building, and I just want us all to share in that success. And so that's how I'm going to initiate and incentivize it.
So
yeah, that's really fun.
So Legends of the Realm then is like, you're releasing art, but you're also building a community. You're having them kind of build a world together. That's the kind of sense I'm getting.
Yeah. So I think like what's going to be fun is the art. I'm working on the website and landing page for it all, and I want the art to very much be dynamic and reflective of what the community wants to tell as a story as well. So I've got this kind of like base structure of like, you start in a bar, right? Like every classic story prompt. But I think it's like, I really want to solve some things on the NFT side, like governance, a launch pad, and a community board, like those kind of key things that I think the community would just use on the daily. I think if we try to solve some of those bigger problems and do them one at a time, then the art within the website and subsequently the rest of the project will just reflect that. So it's telling the story in real time within the art, within the NFT, and how we'll evolve. Like, it's just, I don't know where it's going to go, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah, little Gooey agrees.
I guess I saw like a little bit of the art, and from what I saw, there is kind of like there's some characters, and there's some places, right? Like two of the core things you need for it's one of the places, right? So you've got this like kind of battle orc tent thing, right? And then of course we had your picture of the orc. So I mean, I guess those two things are related, right? I wonder, so you're creating like the orc tents as their own series, or they're like the background to these images. How does I guess like as the story evolves, will you change, like the next mint will take place in, you know, you say you start in a bar, the next mint will take place in a different place, or yeah, I'm just curious how it actually kind of works.
Well, I'm such a sucker for projects existing in the same universe. So don't be surprised if you know, there is some kind of like crossover events that happen with this DAO and maybe other projects, or I hate to be coy about that aspect, but I think it's like, I really like that, you know, I'm going to start on kind of a more limited side. So there's probably only going to be about 300 tokens for this thing, because I don't want it to like run away on me either. Right. and go crazy, which can happen. But I think that, you know, if there's a real demand to increase participation and expand it with another mint, then that just opens up a whole new avenue of, like, I'm just thinking about this thing as a giant sandbox, right? And, you know, maybe there's a project that is happening in a whole other part of this continent that, you know, the story is being told in, that, like, I'm such a sucker for Lord of the Rings, and those kind of epics where things can, happen totally independent from what's happening in the story, but they motivate when they do come together. And that's just like so appealing to me as far as how, collaborations can start to happen. And I just think it's like, I want to bottle that feeling of, if you've ever been in a good D&D session and the dice have been on your side, or maybe they haven't, and it just creates this like epic story that everybody embraces. Like, you remember that forever. It's like some of my best gaming moments were in D&D, and it's like, why can't that be happening within a community project on the blockchain to like be just growing what we're already building, right? That's such a nerdy ambition of mine, I guess, that's at the core of this.
Oh, it's a great ambition though. And I totally, yeah, I mean, I've had so many of those moments myself. Like, I think the best DM I had, I was in high school, and he would create his own systems. So he had very like fine-tuned sense of how everything worked and the world that he was in. It took place in like a weird world where there were raptors that were, using tools and stuff. But what he would do is he would take your characters and things that they had done. Once they kind of finished up their adventure, they would kind of go on and do things. And then the next game you would play would be like the next kind of generation on. And those people that you had played or you'd played with, they'd be off just doing their own things within the world. Like, they existed.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Real implications. Like, it was really, really cool.
Well, and I think it allows, when you tell a story or you ask somebody to, when you roll somebody up in D&D, you're already like kind of juicing at what their backstory was, what are their motivations, and just like that kind of role-playing aspect that can take play. And I think when you do that, you just become much more invested, right? Like, you're putting energy into telling something that you think is important or compelling to the story. And it's just like, I can't wait for people to take those tools up and then, be interacting in this storyline that I get to like illustrate to some degree, and then, reinvest back into the story. And it's so open-ended, it hurts. But I think that if I can execute some ideas that, DMs use in D&D within a DAO, I like it. It might be a huge flop. Like, I'm not writing that off, but I think it's going to be an interesting social experiment, because it's not motivated by the financial factor off the foot. It's more concerned with, we're already trying to build together. So it's like, how do we do this in a unified approach where we can all share in the fruit of that while solving problems at the same time?
And you know what, like today, this week, especially with all the like crypto financial news, like, I personally am more interested in projects that are like exploring NFTs and DAOs, but that aren't concerned with like financial speculation. It's just, as you're saying, like, you're being there in a community, you're building stuff together, you're creating together. Like, that, to me, I'm super down for that. One other thing I will say is, back when I was in high school, another really cool thing that exists at the time was a webcomic called Homestuck. I don't know if I'm probably like dating myself, or at least outing myself as like one of those like basement dweller like cartoon nerds. But it was this like webcomic. This weird things would happen, and people would respond saying what the person would do, and then the guy Andrew Hussey would draw it, and he would kind of let the world develop around that in a webcomic form. It was a very cool project. Like, if you're looking for inspo, go check out like the early days of the project. And
what was it called?
I'll drop a link to it. Homestuck. It was like, if you go to any like Comic-Con and you see people running around with like little like candy corn horns, don't talk to them. Homestuck fandom is a bit the worst. The webcomic.
That's good alpha.
Yeah.
Good alpha.
But they were everywhere, man. Like, Homestuck was huge. They had like, I think, one of the biggest Kickstarters ever to create like a game, which kind of flopped. But I haven't played the game. It's been a minute since I was really into Homestuck. Yeah, but it was a really cool experiment and he has some other ones too. Problem Sleuth is another good one in like community generated storytelling through webcomics before it was kind of like big to be doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still very much like a frontier, I think, right? Like, and there's those people like that you know, might have done it just before it was able to be totally fruitful. So I
Yeah.
think there's an appetite for DAOs, and I think that the thing that I see a lot now is like when, you know, things like what happened with FTX this week is it's like I don't know about your guys' experience, but on Telos it's just like here we go again, right? Like
Mm,
Yeah.
and and when I talk to people in spaces and they're all down bad, I'm like, well, I totally can sympathize with loss, and it's never great to hear, but like I've also been like beating my chest about this alternative for the last 6 months, and you know, y'all didn't bat an eye, and now people start to like be curious about it. So it's like also that, you know, in these down cycles, like rather than ever looking at it like, how do I put this? Man, it's a little difficult. Like I think the intuition is to be like, well, you should have known better, right? And I was trying to tell you, and I think it's like rather than if any kind of curiosity comes our way, that it's just like, yo, like yeah, come on in, check it out. And
Yeah.
like I brought somebody in from one of the Ethereum communities yesterday to our Discord, and I talked to her for like an hour last night just about Telos, and she was like, oh, this is so interesting. I'm going to do more research, and it's just like I forget that sometimes it's just, you know, a conversion of 1-to-1, and that's just
mhm.
as important. And
Yeah.
I just feel like I can go to bat for this chain all the time now, right? Like I'm so embedded in it. I know it really intimately. So it's like, regardless of what kind of conversations we're having, whether it's about the tokenomics or the NFTs or the block producers, I feel like I've got a good enough handle that it's like, here's why we're killing it and a great alternative, right?
Yeah, no, you're so right. And like I think over this last like little bit, I've become a little jaded with like the overall crypto ecosystem, at least some of like the big news pieces that I've been seeing. But I can always
Yeah.
get back to being like, I mean, yeah, Telos has its great points. Telos has some things it can work on, but at its core, Telos is a true like it's carrying forward a lot of the ideals that a
Hmm.
blockchain should have. And it's doing that well, and it's doing that as people were talking about on the Telos Twitter Spaces earlier on like a shoestring budget, and it's delivering against some really, really impressive teams. So
Oh yeah, and
Well,
it's
and I think that's
literally
the thing I've learned about this, like having a department, is it's like, you know, you've got to do these things on a budget, and it's like you don't. I think that the inclination is, and because of the last bull run, or you know, any kind of precedent in crypto, is like these chains just throw money at a wall and see what sticks, right? And it's like we're not afforded that luxury, but I think at the same time, it commands a due diligence on our part that like strengthens that resolve to be committed to quality. It's like we're not just gonna have dApps or builders over here build just because. It's like, no, show us what you built, and we're happy to support that and happy to like embrace you. But it's not like a free lunch, right? And
Mhm.
I think that especially during this what could be a bit of a crypto winter is it's like the skills we've learned from just hustling on, you know, 100th of the budget has really, it's given us like such a great advantage to be positioning with partners at either like ridiculous discounts or like people just want to be connecting right now, so we can build out a huge infrastructure very cost effectively.
yeah,
At
Yeah.
least that's how I think about it now. So it's just like we've done a lot on a very limited budget, and the kind of growth that we're seeing at the depths of this market on this chain is like so inspiring. Like the
Oh
other
yeah.
day when things were falling apart and everybody in our Discord is just like, can't wait for Pirates Mint, you know, like it's just that's we're resilient, we have this buffer, and I think it's like it's been a you know, as it always is when you're a smaller chain against big competitors, but you just got to have a group of weirdos that want to stick this out and build together, and that's enough.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's like such a different, like some bits of it are the same from the last time I know like we kind of saw each other, which was in consensus in like what was that, June, July? June, that was
Mm-hmm.
June. It's like parts of the mindset are different. Like, you know, like people have to be leaner now, even more so than in June. But like a lot of it is still the same. The excitement for the space is still kind of there. That people are still excited about building together and creating something different and creating something new
Yeah.
that serves people.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like we've trained the muscle of run and lean for so long that it's like, okay, well, like what else is new, right? We don't have to, like, we've built an infrastructure on what is necessary, not what is like supposed to happen, right? And I think that unfortunately, chains like Solana now are probably going to have to do big old layoffs, or a lot of people are losing employment or opportunities because of the predicaments we find ourselves in because of these markets, right? It's good people get hurt, and it's unfortunate that they also bear the cost of that. So I think that like the ultimate selling point for Telos for me is like, you invest in building over here. I think we can show a track record of like, you're not going to lose your shirt when the market flops, right? Like you're going to get hit like everybody else, but you're not going to like worry about what your livelihood looks like, I think, if you've built it out smart.
Yeah.
And I think that is importantly for just community members too. Like, it's not going to just turn into a ghost town. You know, Ghost takes a dive. Like, it's not like you're going to show up to the chat and say like, "Hey guys, what happened?" and like no one's going to say anything, or it's going to like totally consume the chat, right? Like, you can go to the Telos Trading Telegram, and even there, it's probably not all everyone's talking about. You know, it's just like a community that I don't think lets that dictate how they're going to, interact with each other. Like projects are still producing, like new NFT projects are coming out all the time. Mints are happening. They're selling out. This would be unheard of on some other networks. And I'm sure we've all seen projects where it's like, yeah, as soon as the token takes a dip, no one's around to say anything or answer any questions.
Oh yeah, and Gooey, I'm just thinking of all the kind of Solana implications of FTX, like because you were a big like Solana NFT boy, if I remember correctly, like that's kind of you started out.
Yeah, I was there early last year, and or this year, and I did a lot of art for like different projects on that chain, and it like, don't get me wrong, I got homies who are still building over there that I got a lot of love for, and it's like, it's not their fault. Their chain is just intrinsically flawed, but I think it's just like the way that I see that whole ecosystem is like, if it doesn't go above $20 soon, it's the kind of crowd that I think, this might be an assumption, is not going to stick around. On top of other things that I think are exacting on that ecosystem. So it wasn't built to last, is kind of how I feel, at least within the NFT community. And that's really all I'm thinking about with this department and the initiatives that we're trying to run out. Is it's like, I want the core of what this community is to be artists first, because that's like, if you're rooted in your connections of, trying to communicate through art, I think that's how you vest community loyalty, and not like, I'm going to ride or die with Telos, but it's like just that we're part of your daily, consumption of NFTs or crypto news or whatever. It's like, I think it's just being a viable contender to that and having an alternative that's equal or greater to the experience that's out there. And from the feedback I get from people who are helping, get projects off the ground, there's not a lot of other chains doing that at the moment. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
totally. Question from Erica.
Yeah.
How do you personally stay balanced and positive to provide such a nurturing and great place for people to hang out? Work-life balance is so hard.
Oh my God, is it ever? And I think I might have been the single stupidest person to have a child, start a business, and move to the coast, all roughly in the same year. So it's honestly, the work-life balance thing is always ongoing. And because this is like my passion at the same time as it's my work, that's also that's a real dangerous thing for me. So I think the work-life balance thing is having an amazing wife who calls you out when your head is too far down the hole and keeps you on track. And I think just like it's also gifted me the balance of being home with little Gooey all the time now, which I'm sure all of you are well acquainted with. And I think it's just the idea that like I have a strong labor background from trade unionism, and I think it's that this is like some people I think really get annoyed or aren't down for hearing other people's kids on calls, but to me it's like, well, the cost of like being ever present in this ecosystem is that you're going to hear my kid on the call and he's just part of my existence, and that's not like unprofessional. That's the reality of how, if you want this to operate, little Gooey is just part of that realm, so
yeah.
Right.
And like, what about when you want to get to big Gooey and Son NFTs or whatever, like Gooey's got to see the master at work.
Well, I think it's like the idea that professionalism is this one mode of operating, and that's at a desk in isolation and quiet, so you're ready to receive whatever information. It's like, that's not real life, right? And that's not how, if you work in Web3, you're ever present. So it's like, you're also think about like, how is it that its time is exacting on when you might want to be with your family, but you got to get a tweet out, or right, there is this unfortunate imbalance of how much it occupies in our life. But I think as long as you're trying to think about it and assess, am I still holding my family together? Am I still in a good mental health space? And like being able to step away from it for a few days or a week or whatever you need to. You never should have to apologize for that, but also be realistic that like it's a fevered environment, right? And you kind of, whether you like it or not, sign up for that to some degree. So, factoring that into my expectations about it all too. So that's a really long way of saying I'm still figuring it out.
Heck yeah. And you know what? Honor of that, I will not ask when is this project coming out, because take it at your own pace. There's a lot here. There's a lot of really innovative stuff. So give it the time that it needs. I know you'll be posting about it on your Twitter, which you can follow at the Big Gooey. You've been posting some pretty fire stuff recently anyways, so go check that out, guys, if you haven't. Let me pull it up on here. And yeah, I mean, keep bringing the drive, the encouragement that you bring to the Telos ecosystem every day. Like you are really, as Mochi said earlier, the goat of
dear Lord.
There he is. So yeah, guys, follow Gooey on Twitter if you don't already. Before we drop things off, I've got some exciting news. I've drawn our winners for the t-shirt contest, so we'll follow up with all of you guys. But the winners are, we've got on Twitter, Tom 99999, CBS Cryptonaut, Feisy, you won.
Nice.
Daniela Batar, Potato Man won. Holy moly!
Oh yeah! Shout out Potato Man.
Oh yeah. Hugo,
I love that.
P, and Nambio95. So guys, we'll be in contact with you on Twitter, and you'll be getting some Telos shirt and maybe some. I got a button maker recently, so maybe I'll make some Telos Culture buttons. We'll see.
Let's go.
Oh yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for the Telos Buzz, whether you're watching live today or later on. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you. Make sure, if you guys really like the work that we're doing, follow Telos Culture on all of our channels. We'll drop our link tree in the chat. And also remember to, cast your votes for Telos Culture, for anyone you think is doing a good job and bringing stuff that you believe into the Telos ecosystem. And yeah, other than that, guys, have a great rest of your day. We will talk to you next week. I have to double check our schedule, see what we got going on next week. It's going to be something cool, but we'll see you guys back there. Gooey, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I love it.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Yeah, thank you so much, Gooey, and yeah, we hope you have a great Remembrance Day, Veterans Day, whatever day it is to you. We hope it's a fantastic one.
Heck yeah. All right. Peace out, y'all. Bye.